Welcome to the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin, and today I'll be talking about a little NBA action, a little college hoops action as March Madness started last weekend, because, I can do anything. So because I can do anything last week, I went on vacation with my family. We spent a week in Arizona. We stayed in the Munns Park area, spent a lot of time in Sedona, went up and saw the Grand Canyon. We were in Flagstaff for like 45 minutes at a grocery store as we drove through from the Grand Canyon. We were expecting to spend a lot more time, I think, in Flagstaff than we did. The elevation in Flagstaff is quite a bit higher than in Sedona. It had just snowed like 2 weeks before, like 22 inches in like a 24-hour span. So apparently all the hiking trails were just kind of slushy and the weather wasn't the greatest. But yeah, we spent a lot of time in Sedona, which is a fucking great place. Holy crap. And we were there I think like April. I mean, we were there, the third week of March, but April is probably like the best time, to be in Arizona. I think any time past that, like May through, like even October or September, October-ish, in my opinion, would be fucking miserable. I would hate to be in a climate that was that hot. We were in Phoenix on our last full day on Saturday, as we flew out on Sunday early morning from Phoenix. And it was like 73, which was great. But even that, I mean, I'm used to cold weather a little bit right now just because, it's been winter here in Indiana for the last 3 or 4 months. So it was just kind of, being in 73 degree weather, I just wasn't used to it, but that's perfect. I mean, there were days in Sedona that we were hiking and there was like a mild breeze. It was like in the high 50s, low 60s, like 58, 62, 63 degrees. And that to me is perfect. Like we were in, like a long sleeve shirt or like a light, pullover or like windbreaker type jacket with long pants on. And the weather was perfect. I would love to live in Sedona, like March and April. If I was rich and money didn't matter, I feel like I would never live in the same spot for like more than a couple months. I would just move to where the climate was nice and comfortable. Too hot is fine for a little while. But like 64, 65 degrees, a light breeze, moderate clouds, maybe a little less than moderate clouds for some shade every once in a while. That's like ideal, living in Sedona for like March, maybe the last 2 weeks of March and then April. And then, for May, go to like Tennessee and then move to the Midwest for the summer. And then as it started to get cold, like in the fall, maybe go to like the Carolinas, Georgia, Southern California I've never been there, but from what I hear is amazing in the fall. Yeah, family vacations are interesting. It's really interesting trying to navigate 4 different people's, especially at this age. Like I'm 26, my sister's damn near, I think she's 22 still, but turns 23 in May. I don't know, 23, something like that. And, my dad's 65, my mom's 56. And we're all kind of wired a little differently. I think we're family, obviously. So in a lot of ways, we're very similar and very, I don't know. We just live lifestyles that are, I guess, different enough, that there was conflict. I guess every family bickers at each other and, has conflict from time to time, but it was cool that, I think it's cool that my sister and I still desire to go hang out with our parents for a week. Although after being with my parents for a week on vacation, I was ready by the end of it to be back on my own. Although the home cooking was fucking awesome. I hate making food for myself, so my mom's awesome cooking and just not having to cook in general was really great. But we're all wired a little differently, and my dad was complaining and has been talking about knee replacement surgery because he's got a bum knee. My mom's very, very plan oriented and wants to schedule everything out, whereas I'm kind of a little more, just about surrounding myself with people I enjoy. And I guess, I don't know, I guess I am pretty plan oriented just because I get a lot of that from her. But I like to have a loose plan and then be spontaneous within that loose plan, whereas my mom would get upset if we deviated from a scheduled hiking trail or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little critical. It's not like she fucking shut down and threw a fit and wouldn't do anything. She was overall very accommodating. There was just one day that I didn't enjoy. I'm a young guy and I'm trying to fucking hike and exert some energy and challenge myself a little bit. And we did this monument tour that was so fucking lame. And yeah, I don't know, but all around, for the most part, it was a good vacation. It was nice to get away and not think about work for a while. I haven't watched basketball. I didn't watch NBA basketball the whole vacation. I did watch some March Madness action. In the first round, there was a decent amount of upsets. Actually, there was quite a bit of upsets in the first round. I'm going to get into March Madness, though, in a second. But first, the I Can Do Anything podcast is brought to you by Sneaker Retort. We all buy shoes, some of us more than others, but regardless of how much the shoes you purchase cost or how often you purchase them, it's nice to know ahead of time if you're getting what you paid for. Sneaker Retort is the leading discussion board in the world for reviewing sneakers and is used by sneakerheads from Bangladesh to Machu Picchu. Learn about your favorite brands and connect with retailed sellers. After your purchase, give a rating and review of the seller and the product so that those interested in that seller or the particular shoe or the brand can make an educated decision before they spend their hard-earned money. Whether you're a collector, a manual labor worker, a runner, or a fashionista, Sneaker Report is your home for witty, sharp, angry, delighted, and incisive remarks, accusations, and satisfactory banter. Our members are passionate about footwear. If you have a passion for what protects your soles, sign up for a free membership to receive early release notifications and our daily newsletter featuring the latest in trends and discounts around the world of kicks. And by Sportage. Listeners of the I Can Do Anything podcast obviously love sports, and the best way to keep up with the latest in all your favorite sports leagues, teams, and players is Sportage. Sportage lets you customize alerts for all your favorites. It features articles from award-winning sports journalists and has an easy-to-use interactive layout. Download the Sportage app today. And by Bragg's. This portion of the I Can Do Anything podcast is made possible by Bragg's Organic Apple Cider Vinegar. I like to endorse products that I use every day, although admittedly, over the past couple months, I haven't touched my Bragg's Organic Apple Cider Vinegar. It is fucking difficult to stay on a regimen of taking this stuff because I probably shouldn't say this in an ad, but the shit doesn't taste very good. It's just difficult, but I like to endorse products that I use every day and find beneficial to my overall well-being, and Bragg's Organic Apple Cider Vinegar is just that. I drink it with breakfast in the morning, and quite honestly, it's quite disgusting, but it really clears out your system and gives you a little jolt, and it's not an artificial jolt like those energy shots. You won't crash because of it. Bragg's Organic Apple Cider Vinegar is USDA organic and is naturally gluten-free and made from the finest, delicious, healthy, organically grown apples. Raw apple cider vinegar is full of zesty, natural goodness. Yeah, zesty is no joke. That is a good word for it, zesty. and contains the amazing mother of vinegar, which occurs naturally as connected stand-like chains of protein enzyme molecules and is highly regarded throughout history. It also adds healthy, delicious flavors to salads, veggies, and most foods. Visit bragg.com. That's BRAGG.com, or BraggACV. That's BRAGGACV.com. Bragg, original health stores established in 1912. All right. So, like I said, I haven't watched NBA game. I probably haven't watched an NBA game in 3 weeks. 2.5 maybe. Hey, but that doesn't mean I can't talk about the shit. I'm not talking about the Lakers, though. I'm over it. Fuck it. I'm not talking about injury stuff. There was a report that came out that LeBron's physical therapist or something said that he should have sat for 6 months, or it doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the Lakers. Last night, Booker for the Suns had 50 points, but they lost to the Wizards. So that shit really doesn't matter. The Lakers lost to the Jazz by 15, 100 to 115. The Jazz have surged and are now, if I pull up the standings, are now in, I want to say they're in 5th in the West. Yeah, the Jazz 45 and 30 with a 600 win percentage are 5th in the West. The Clippers, although it's funny, the 4 teams ahead of them have clinched a playoff berth, and the Clippers, who are 6th, also clinched a playoff berth, but the Jazz have not. I don't know if that has to do with how many games they have left or how many games the Clippers have left, but I would assume here in the next, because they have the same record as the Clippers, and they're the same amount of games back from the 1 seed, the Golden State Warriors, as the Clippers. So that's kind of weird. Maybe I would assume like after tonight or after their next game, they'll more than likely clinch. So there's only, let's see, there's only 1 team left that can get into the playoffs that currently isn't, and that's the Kings. All the other Western Conference teams have been eliminated from playoff contention. However, the Kings are 5.5 games back from the 8th spot. Depending on their schedule, it probably won't happen. More than likely, they're going to play a lot of Western Conference teams. Now, maybe they'll get lucky, and they'll play a bunch of low Western Conference teams like the Mavs and the Suns and the Lakers and the Pelicans. But more than likely, the Western Conference playoffs are set. That's Warriors, Nuggets, Blazers, Rockets, Jazz, Clippers, Thunder, and Spurs. Now, 5th and the 6th seed have the same record. The 6th and the 7th seed are 1 game apart. 7 and 8 are 1 game apart. 5 and 4 are 2 games apart. 4 and 3 are a half game apart. And then 2 and 3 are 3.5 games apart. And then 1 and 2 are a half game apart. So the seeding will certainly change. Let's see, the Warriors are 51 and 23. That means they've played 73 games, so they've got 9 to go. So most teams have under 10 games to go, I would assume. The Bucks in 1st overall and in the West are 56 and 19, which means they've played, wow, I'm bad at math, 75 games. So they're even closer to finishing the season with just 7 games left. Let's see. So the top 5 seeds in the East have clinched. The Bucks, Raptors, Sixers, Pacers. Congratulations to the Pacers, who lost their best player and have still maintained. I think they only dropped 1 seed since losing Victor Oladipo, and they really don't have like a key guy, like a star player by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, and have I mean, the East is not nearly as good as the West, but the top 5 in the East is really good. I mean, the top 2 in the East are the top 2 teams overall in the league. The Sixers are third, and they have their four of Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons is really good. So the Eastern Conference playoffs will actually be quite interesting. I really don't. I could see the Celtics pulling it together. I could see the Pacers knocking somebody off. If the seeding were to stay the way it was, the Pacers would play the Celtics, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers beat the Celtics in the first round, because that's kind of like polar opposites. Like, the Pacers are just a great team-oriented, no superstar drama or anything like that. They're just going to play good basketball, especially come playoff time. And the Celtics are kind of the opposite. They're going through the star drama with Kyrie Irving, and yeah, that could be a really interesting first round matchup. And then the 76ers, the Raptors, and the Bucks. I think those will be really interesting matchups come the end of the Eastern Conference playoffs. But so let's see. The Heat are 9, the Hornets are 10, and the Wizards are 11. The Heat are a half game out of the playoffs. The Hornets in the 10 slot are a game and a half out of the playoffs, and the Wizards are 6.5 games out of the playoffs. So the Heat always seem to do that. They always seem to be right in the 9 or 8 spot and have to fight late in the season for a playoff spot. It would be cool to see D Wade get in the playoffs in his last season. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they did. I could see a surge from D Wade as he's about to go out. And I don't know. The Magic have played well this season for the expectations. Well, there's probably really no expectations in Orlando at this point, but the Magic are currently in the playoffs. I don't know what else is all that notable going on in the NBA other than the MVP talk. I think most people have Harden and Antetokounmpo 1 and 2. But with that being said, let's get into the MVP Matrix. The I Can Do Anything MVP Matrix is a comprehensive statistical algorithm that ranks star players throughout the National Basketball Association based on 9 categories. A player qualifies for recognition for the MVP matrix by being a star performer on teams in playoff contention. Now think of the matrix like you would golf. In golf, there are 9 holes. In the MVP matrix, there are 9 categories. In golf, the player with the lowest score wins. In the MVP matrix, after adding up the rankings from all 9 categories, the player with the lowest score is the MVP for that week. The basis being that the MVP award should be given to the player who gives their team the most value and not the best performer in points per game or the best performer on one side of the ball or in just a few categories or in one particular category, most notably points per game, but all the important categories combined. Unless, of course, we're going to change the name of the award to the Most Outstanding Player Award or the Most Amazing Performer of the Year Award or the Best Scorer of the Year Award or something like that. The 9 statistical categories that make up the matrix are, in my opinion, the statistical categories that indicate the best overall player in the league. The 9 categories are points per game, assists per game, steals per game, blocks per game, rebounds per game, plus minus, 3-point percentage, field goal percentage, and win percentage. Players are ranked against each other in each category, and the player with the highest points per game is ranked first, and the player with the lowest is ranked last in that particular category, and that type of ranking system is done for each category. At the end, each player is given a score, again, similar to the way golf scoring is done. The player who ranks first in points per game receives 1 point for that category, and the player ranked last in points per game is given the highest number of points possible, depending on how many players qualify for the matrix that week. This week, 10 players qualify for the matrix. I took a pretty significant amount of people out of the matrix as the season dwindles down. I think really for the most part, there's 2 that people are heavily considering. I think some people would probably throw in Paul George as a heavy consideration. But really, it's those 3, I think. I included 10. and I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I included 10 this week, so the highest possible number of points would be 10. Each player's overall MVP matrix ranking is accumulated by adding up their point totals from each category based on how they ranked in each category. The player with the lowest overall score ranks the highest, and the players with the highest overall score rank the lowest, just like in golf, for the overall score. Now, the overall scores, the overall standings for this week are Giannis Antetokounmpo with 31 points. So the 10 that are in it this week are Durant, Embiid, Westbrook, Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, James Harden, Nikola Jokic, Paul George, and Lillard. I took the rest of them out. I don't even remember who I took out. I think I took out Ben Simmons. I took out DeMar DeRozan, Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler. LeBron was already out the week before. You think I took out like 3 or 4? Because last week, the 4. Because last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, the last time I did the Matrix, there were 14 players. So the overall standings, the overall scores, obviously, as I take players out, get lower because there's less points to accumulate. So Antetokounmpo finished first again. Antetokounmpo has finished first every single week that I've done this. This is the 24th week of the NBA season. I would guess that I've done maybe 12 to 15 of these. Antetokounmpo has finished first every week. Just let that settle in. So Antetokounmpo first with 31. Steph Curry second with 44. Paul George third with 45 points. Kevin Durant fourth with 46. James Harden fifth with 48 points. So from second to fifth, actually from second to sixth, Embiid, Jokic, and Leonard all tied for sixth with 49 points. So a pretty quick or a pretty close gap between 2 through 6. 2 through 4 separates a point, and then there's 2 points between 4th and 5th, and 1 point between 5th and 6th. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with it. I mean, obviously I agree with it. This is my fucking Matrix. To me, Harden should be pretty much that. The Thunder have dropped off a little bit. They've dropped down to 7th in the West, but there's only 3 games between 7th and 4th. 3.5 between 7th and 3rd, so by the end of the season they could be the 4 seed, they could be the 5 seed, they could be the 8 seed. So that, I guess, takes away a little bit from what Paul George has done. He surged there like in January, February, and then March he kind of took a couple steps back. Kawhi Leonard surged up a little bit. I think last week he wasn't even in the top 6, and now he's tied for the top 6 with Embiid, Jokic, and Leonard. I was on the NBA website, and they have Harden first, Antetokounmpo second. I think they have Embiid third, and then Paul George fourth. Those two may be flip-flopped. And then they had, I want to say they had Jokic fifth, or maybe Durant fifth, or maybe Curry fifth. I don't know. But again, Antetokounmpo first, Curry second, Paul George third, Durant fourth, Harden fifth, Embiid, Jokic, and Leonard tie for sixth, and then Westbrook and Lillard. I kept Lillard in. I almost took him out. I kept him in because he's got his team, him and CJ McCollum. I never have considered CJ McCollum through the season just because, I don't know, it's CJ McCollum. He's a star, I guess, but I don't know. Not really, but I kept Lillard in because I think he's their star, and they're third in the West, and I really like him. Although I try to remain unbiased in this MVP matrix, but I kept Lillard in, and he actually only finished a point behind Westbrook. He had 60 overall points. Westbrook had 59 overall points, 10 points behind the sixth place finish. Rounding out the top six was Embiid, Jokic, and Leonard. I'm not going to go into a ton about, actually probably won't go into anything about their stats or the seedings within each statistical category. Because, let's see, what time is it? Because it's 7:08 and the NCAA tournament games start in 1 minute. I believe the first game tips off at 7:09. So, without further ado, I'm going to read to you our next sponsorship for the show. Today's episode of the I Can Do Anything podcast is brought to you by Beat Freak. When it comes to making beats, you don't need a sophisticated beat-making software. You don't even need instruments. With powerful technology that has an array of instruments to choose from, you never have to use tinny-sounding snare snippets, or a dull guitar riff again. The latest in synthesizer and electronic production components comes at an affordable price with Beat Freak. Visit beatfreak.com/anything for your limited time offer at amazing professional quality sounding instruments at your fingertips. Don't be a freak. Get Beat Freak. Okay, so my bracket's not doing the greatest. I kind of went through it pretty quickly while we were on vacation. Had I thought a little ahead of time when we scheduled our vacation, probably wouldn't have scheduled it on the first weekend of March Madness. We were out hiking on Thursday and Friday and just doing stuff. I didn't want to be sitting all afternoon and all night watching college basketball, although that is what I would want to be doing. But because I was on vacation and because the weather was nice, you got to be outside. Ideally, though, generally speaking, I usually take the afternoon off on that opening Thursday and Friday of the tournament and just set up a bunch of TVs and watch basketball by myself or with friends. And I think it was 2 years ago, I went up to Grand Rapids and hung out with my buddies and watched basketball on Friday afternoon. But my bracket's not doing the greatest. As I said, I kind of went through it pretty quickly. I probably know this year the least about college basketball that I ever have in my life. Let me pull up the games that are coming up today. I'm really excited about this first one, Florida State against Gonzaga. I think that should be a really good one. I think if I could go back, I would probably pick Florida State to go to the Final Four. They looked really good in their first two games. I really fucking wanted UCF to beat Duke in that thriller game. I was watching that. I was like sort of watching it while I was driving back on Sunday back to Angola from Michigan, and caught I fucking pulled over to watch the last 3 minutes. That was a really great finish, and I really wish UCF would have beat Duke, just because I've got Duke winning it all in my bracket, but just because it would have made Michigan State's path a lot easier not having to play Duke. I would rather see Michigan State win. I did pick Michigan State in one of my brackets. I filled out 3 total brackets because a bracket that I do with my good buddy Kev Dog. We do 3 brackets based on 3 different criteria. Generally, I would only fill out one. I other than that pool, I only filled out the one that I gave. The one that I put in all my other pools has Duke winning it. And I don't care about my bracket. I would rather have Michigan State win. As I look through the Sweet 16, there really aren't very many high seeds. The highest seed is Florida State is a 4. Oregon is a 12 seed. Auburn's a 5 seed. And then Virginia Tech a 4 seed. There were quite a bit of upsets in the first round, but then it seems like the better teams, the higher seeds, cleaned up the high seeds that won in the first round in the second round. So tonight it's Florida State, Gonzaga, then Purdue, Tennessee, Texas Tech, Michigan, and Oregon, Virginia. And then tomorrow, LSU, Michigan State, Auburn, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Duke. That'll be a good one. Houston, Kentucky seems like it'll be a good one. I think Michigan State, LSU will be really good. But these games in the Sweet 16 are going to be great. I think that about wraps it up. But before I go, selling tickets should be easy so you can focus on what truly matters, your production. The I Can Do Anything podcast is powered by Ludus. Built from the ground up for a high school theater director, Ludus is simple and free online ticket sales for K through 12 schools. With a customized ticketing portfolio, Ludus offers great customization features. Choose your own unique domain, pick custom colors to match your organization, and even build a meaningful splash page with the drag and drop editor. Take control of your ticket sales with the advanced control panel tools. Add shows and showtimes. Search for tickets, find patron data in seconds, create multiple admin users, and issue exchanges and refunds at the click of a button. One of the best features Ludus has to offer is the ability to generate detailed reports. View revenue data broken down by day, manipulate your data to answer questions about your sales, and export your data for future use. Ludus also offers powerful reserved seating. Easily let your patrons choose their own seats for your reserved seating shows. Upload your seating chart using our drag and drop maker. Add sections, rows, tables. Choose premium seating, and general admission shows are possible too. Keep track of student sales by simply adding student ledgers. Each student receives a Ludus account and a special sales code that can be applied to any order. When patrons purchase their tickets, they have the ability to print their tickets at home, have them digitally sent to their email for use on mobile devices, or mark them to be picked up at will call. With Ludus, customer service is a breeze. Oftentimes it's nice to talk to a real person who understands what your job consists of. Ludus offers real-time support through their chat widget, step-by-step guides, videos, and an 888 phone number. Ludus has sold over 150,000 tickets this year. Visit ludus.com and start selling tickets today with Ludus's forever 100% free guarantee to your program. That's ludus.com. Okay, thanks for listening to the show, guys. Enjoy March Madness, and I'll probably be back on Monday with another episode to recap the weekend of March Madness. Peace.